We are in the midst of a massive shift in the company car market. Previously, diesel was the fuel of choice for saloon cars, estates and SUVs, but recently there's been a raft of new plug-in hybrid models from various manufacturers. With rock-bottom benefit-in-kind costs, user choosers are spoilt for choice. There are plenty of cars to choose from, of course, from premium manufacturers, but what if you want something a little bit different? Well, how about this? The Peugeot 508. Peugeot calls the 508 a fastback, and there's no denying that it turns heads. With an aggressive front-end treatment, a sleek coupe-like roofline, and distinctive taillights all marking it out. It's been on sale in petrol and diesel form since 2018, but this plug-in hybrid version is new for 2020. Its main rivals are the likes of the Skoda Superb and Volkswagen Passat, but Peugeot will also be hoping that some BMW, Mercedes and Audi drivers can be tempted in its direction. But is that a realistic prospect? Now, the idea of a mainstream manufacturer trying to take on the premium players is something we've heard plenty of times before, and it's not something that always works out. But on style alone, Peugeot might be onto something with this new 508. It's another great example of Peugeot's rejuvenated design language that we first saw on cars like the 208 and 3008. Just look at it. From that aggressive front end to those fang-like daytime running lights, through to this sweeping roofline and pillarless doors, all the way around to the back where you've got those dark tinted light clusters. It should stack up financially as well, with CO2 emissions of around 30 grams per kilometre and a decent all-electric driving range. That guarantees that low company car tax cost. Now, private buyers might be a little bit put off by the high price compared with the petrol and diesel models, but for the target market this car is aimed at, the numbers are likely to stack up. Now, Peugeot claims around 166 miles per gallon, but in real-world motoring with the batteries depleted, you're looking at more like 40 miles per gallon. Charge up regularly and you'll see somewhere between the two. That decent electric range can be as much as 39 miles according to the official figures, although it's likely to settle at around 30 miles in everyday driving. In other words, still enough to get a lot of local commuting, school running and shopping in without using a drop of fuel. To enable you to do that, of course, you need to charge the 508 hybrid's batteries regularly. Like nearly all plug-in hybrids, it doesn't have the rapid charging capability of pure electric cars, but because it has a smaller battery than they do, charging can be completed in just a couple of hours, even using a regular domestic 3-pin socket. If you go the whole hog and get a home wall box installed, you can have the car fully charged in less than 2 hours using a Type 2 charging cable, but you need to specify the optional 7.4 kilowatt onboard charger to do this, at a cost of around £300. If you're happy just to charge the car at home overnight, this really isn't necessary. But if Peugeot really wants to take the fight to the Germans, this new 508 will have to be decent to drive, and the news on that front is pretty good indeed. Once you get used to the small steering wheel and the slightly unusual driving position, the 508 is a really satisfying car to drive. It's certainly not short on power. It puts out 222 brake horsepower in total combined with the electric motor and the engine, and 0 to 62 miles an hour takes 8.3 seconds, though in reality it feels far faster than that in the real world thanks to the instant shove from the electric motor. With regards to handling, the 508 isn't as agile or fun to drive as a BMW 3 Series, but there's enough grip on offer and it inspires confidence pretty quickly, allowing you to trust the car before too long. The downside is that 8-speed automatic gearbox. It isn't the smoothest transmission we've experienced. Running around on electric power, the 508 really is very quiet and very comfortable, especially on our car's 17-inch wheels. If you spend a lot of time in town, you may find yourself eking out every last electric mile possible. But it can make more sense to let the car make up its own mind. It starts in hybrid as a default when you switch it on, and in this setting it utilises the petrol engine and the electric motor to maximise fuel economy. Like in most hybrid and electric cars, there are other modes to play with, including a battery save mode, which holds the charge of the battery, and a charging mode, which will use the petrol engine to charge the battery. Now, we'd use this sparingly because really it can make a massive dent in your average fuel economy. The 508 hybrid skips the entry-level active trim, but is available in Allure, GT line and GT specification. Allure is probably going to be enough for most people. You get a 10-inch virtual cockpit screen, power folding mirrors and 17-inch diamond cut alloy wheels. The GT line looks a little sportier and has some extra gadgets like wireless phone charging, while the range-topping GT gets full leather trim, 18-inch alloys and a premium audio system. Whichever trim you go for, you get broadly the same dashboard design, which means you get this neat little gear lever on the centre console, this large central touchscreen and these piano keys up the top here. Now, quality inside is pretty good actually, especially on the centre console, the dash and the doors, and to be honest, I don't think it would have much trouble rivaling even the premium manufacturers in this class. So the touchscreen looks great, it's a decent size. but it's not the most responsive we've used. So thankfully, these piano key shortcuts work really well, and you can skip to all the functions as and when you need them. The dials also look great, but unfortunately the steering wheel position for some people will obscure those, because here you look over rather than through. There's also no less than 32 litres of storage dotted across the cabin from these cup holders to this big tray here, and there's a small storage area under here for things like coins, wallets and things like that, and you've got some big door bins, but most importantly, and really I find quite handy, is this slot under here, which is really useful for your mobile phone, especially because there's a USB at the back. The 508 Hybrid's sleek fastback shape is a bit of a double-edged sword when it comes to practicality. It gives the car a major advantage over four-door saloon rivals, with a big hatchback boot opening making it easy to load bulky luggage. Frustratingly, there's only room under the floor for one of the two charging cables, but overall the 508 will take a total of 487 litres of luggage with the rear seats in place, a bit down on the 625 litres you get in a Skoda Superb Hybrid, but still useful nonetheless. And, like the Superb, there's an even larger estate version if you need more space. In the back, that swoopy roofline means the 508's rear seats aren't quite as spacious as the Superb's either, but it's not a complete disaster. Only the tallest adults will find their heads brushing the roof. There's plenty of practical touches too, such as the armrests with built-in cup holders and a ski hatch for through-loading longer items. So there we have it, a comfortable, practical and stylish plug-in hybrid that should make perfect sense to company car buyers. In fact, there's really very little to not like about this car, although some people may still turn their noses up at that mainstream badge. It may be a little bit too expensive and not hold its value quite well enough to make sense for private buyers, but if it's on your company car list, the 508 Hybrid is well worth a look. Head to DrivingElectric.com for all the latest electric and hybrid car advice, news and reviews, and check us out on Twitter, Facebook and Instagram. Finally, while you're here, make sure you hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel and turn on notifications to ensure you never miss a video.